The sound of seagulls and water clashing against ships could be heard from a mile away. This harbour was known to be quite busy and always blooming with adventures. The air was filled with the smell of wood and salt from the ocean. On this particular sunny morning, one adventure was going to set their first steps into the world. The little sailor sat on one of the pillars close by the boat that they would soon have to board. They looked out over the ocean, fantasizing about what they would see and who they would meet. Young, energized, and full of excitement, the little sailor entered the ship with the rest of the crew, and they set sail. The boat rocked back and forth on the waves of the sea, and as the boat sailed further and further away from the harbor, they started to lose their air company. The seagulls chose land over the ship and started to slowly, one by one, fly away. A harsh wind started to hit the sails, and the boat was jerked forward, getting taken away with the wind. The weather suddenly started to change, and it went from a nice summer morning to a dark, cloudy day. The wind got worse, and the waves grew taller with the minute. Thunder and lightning started to fall down around the ship, while it got taken away by the massive waves they kept getting hit with. The ship lost control, and the crew hauled on for their lives as the lightning hit straight through the mast of the ship. A big explosion with a loud bang, which led to fire spreading across the deck.
The ship sank fast, and the crew slowly started to drown. The darkness of the deep ocean consumed the ship, and in the distance, faint lights could be spotted. Down on the bottom of the sea, the ship landed with a soft, almost sighing sound. Clouds of sand spread around the ship while it came to a stop. The faint lights, now brighter, came close to the ship, and soon the whole of it was surrounded by these lights. The inside of the ship looked somber and dark, with items floating around, outside of their usual places on the vessel. The lights started to fill in the inside as well, slowly illuminating the interior. On the lower deck, one of the crew members was still holding their breath, but their air was running out. It was the little sailor from before. The lights spread around the sailor and brightened the room so much that they had difficulty holding their eyes open. One of the lights started to get closer to the sailor, but to their shock they were not just little lights. They were shrimps, hundreds, maybe even thousands of them, and they were glowing in the darkness of the ocean. The tiny shrimp came closer to the sailor and started lighting up even brighter. Scared but curious, the sailor put out their finger to touch the shrimp. A bright flash filled the room, blinding out everything in and around the ship. A low rumble and the sound of rushing bubbles escaping the room could be heard, and within a second the entire ship collapsed into loose pieces of wood strewn across the ocean floor.
From the middle of the ship's remains, a figure slowly started to rise up. It was the little sailor from inside the ship. It shone just as bright as the shrimps and started growing extra parts. 2 antennas from the top of their head and a big fluffy-looking shrimp tail. The figure started to speed up, swimming around in circles while the shrimps followed them around, going up to the surface more and more while the shrimps still followed. Once they broke the surface of the sea, they looked around. There was no land to be seen anywhere close. Feeling lost in the middle of the ocean, the sailor discovered something. They could smell something. They not only had grown an amazing new tail that could propel them around with insane speed, but they also developed a keen sense of smell. And right now, they could smell the sand and the trees of a beach a few miles away. Determined, the sailor turned shrimp started on their journey to land. Well, the sun went down, and they saw the first signs of shallower waters. A small island came into view, little more than a sandbar with some trees and a small hill. Exhausted, they crawled up onto the beach and collapsed, the little shrimp staying with them in the waves. They sighed, looking up at the bright orange sky, tilting their heads to the sides. Up the hill from the beach was a little driftwood hut, probably built by someone that came before them. Curiously, the sailor got up and went to the shack, beginning to put it back in decent order.
One day passed, then two. They found more wood for the shack, fallen branches from palms and other small trees on the hill to build fires. The island was small, but had enough land to live on and enough fruits to keep them fed for now. Their existence felt strange, half lifted in water, as they explored the depths, finding reefs brimming with life and other tragic sunken ships. The reborn little sailor and the shrimp that kept them constant company explored daily, bringing their treasures home each day. These items could be actual treasure like gold coins, pearls, or jewelry, but also seashells, nice-looking bottles, or items that could be considered trash. It wasn't long before the little shack was built into a modest little cottage. A plot of garden veg began to take seed on the hill behind it. They even dragged up a little lifeboat from one of the wrecks, repurposing it to get to any nearby shore for more resources. And of course they had things to trade for those. Jewelry, gold, and pearls had been safely collected from the exploration and waited in their little drawstring bag as they rowed out to sea.
With their sense of smell, they were able to row in the direction of proper land, a little modern port town that looked to welcome all kinds of travelers off the sea. It was a little scary, but while wearing a long cape and acting nonchalant, they were able to sell off the treasures for cash, and the cash for a computer and devices to access the online world. Back on the island, they had everything set, a home of their own, away from all the stress of the world. They were free to explore and find new treasures every day, but doing the same thing every day would get tiring. They had to keep company somehow in this new life, but being half shrimp now wouldn't make that easy. With the discovery of personas online, though, the sailor turned into Ebbi Scrimps, an artist and entertainer with lavender hair and a shrimpy tail, streaming their stories about their adventures and all the new discoveries that they would be making.